If you have ever wanted to see a PG-13 horror movie with no scares, where 70% of the runtime is just people frolicking in a pool, and characters unironically say lines like, "I think there's something wrong with the pool," and "What? The pool is the best thing that's ever happened to us," then not only are you a really weird person for wanting to watch a movie like that, but there's also a chance that you may actually like the movie Night Swim. Welcome to Ghost or Toast, where I, Ghost Toast, your ghost host, use my knowledge as a film major to let y'all know if a movie is ghost, which is good, or toast, which is bad. Today, the subject of our analysis is the movie Night Swim, directed by Bryce McGuire, which focuses on a family that moves into a new house with a haunted pool. Yes, that is correct. I did not make a mistake. That is the premise of the movie. For those of you who are new to the channel, this will probably be a bad representation of my typical movie reviews. Normally, I give a balanced review of the positive and negative aspects of a film, but for this movie, I feel like there are so few things that it did well that I'm going to be heavily focusing on the negative attributes in this review. So with that being said, let's get the positive stuff out of the way first. Positives. Putting aside the absolutely ridiculous premise of this movie, I thought that a majority of the actors in this low-budget production did a pretty good job, delivering solid performances, and the casting was definitely on point. This feels like a real family, and that helped the film have a small iota of weight to its narrative, since the characters are believable enough as a modern family living in the upper class. Additionally, I thought the cinematography was again solid. Nothing insanely special, but taking into account the unique nature of shooting a film that has so many underwater scenes and shots where the camera is dipping in and out of the water and there's like floaty cam underwater, I think the guys behind the camera did an excellent job and even got to toy around with a few really creative and dynamic shots for some of the supernatural sequences. Outside of the acting and cinematography though, I don't really think that I have anything else to praise this film for. So let's get into what everyone has been waiting for, the negatives of Night Swim. For the negatives, I'm going to break it into two sections, a spoiler-free section and a spoiler section, if I have permission to be quite frank with you all. Even if you are planning on seeing the movie, spoilers don't really matter here, bro. I mean, it's literally a bad horror movie about a haunted pool. Are you really going to care that much if I spill the beans on why the pool is haunted and what happens at the end? But alas, I will start with the spoiler-free section, and I'll give you an indication of when we're moving to the spoiler section. So first off, I have no clue how this idea got greenlit to be a feature-length production. I know it's based off of a short film made by the film's director, Bryce McGuire, but that's really how it should have stayed, a short film. Because, just being straight up, there is nowhere near enough content to justify this being a 90-minute movie. The narrative is overbloated with tons of filler to pad out the runtime, weak and half-baked character arcs for family members that might have been decent if they weren't taking place in a horror movie where the pool is the bad guy, and there are like 45 different scenes where people are just swimming in a pool. Like there's like little spooks happening, but like the whole scene is just people swimming in a pool. This premise almost sounds like it's from a regular show episode where Mordecai and Rigby have to clean out a pool at the park, and then it turns out to be a haunted pool and they have to go on some kind of crazy quest to defeat the pool demon. Mordecai, Rigby, clean out that pool or you're fired. But Benson, there's something wrong with that pool. Yeah, Benson, there's like a ghost haunting it or something. We can't clean it. Oh, you slackers would come up with any excuse to get out of doing your work. I'll be back here in 5 hours, and if that pool isn't sparkling, you're both fired! I honestly do think that the premise is really what holds this film back. I mean, a spooky pool? Really? It doesn't help the fact that there are maybe 4 to 5 scares in this entire movie, and none of them are good or executed properly. Like, the scares in this film offer nothing new, except for the fact that instead of these lame horror movie tropes taking place on land, it's in a pool. Like literally, that's the only difference. It's just in a pool. Not only is the writing for the story itself bad, but the dialogue is equally as campy and stilted at certain points, which once again, it does not help your dialogue be taken seriously when a haunted pool is actually legitimately the main premise of your movie. Another thing that I did not like is the definition of what powers the pool has. I know that sometimes if ambiguity is used correctly, it can add a layer of mystery and intrigue to your horror movie monster, but in this case, the lack of established rules and powers just feels more lazy and loose. It feels like the filmmakers don't define what the pool can do just so that they could do whatever they want in terms of the story with no restrictions. And the lack of definition in regards to the pool just makes it hard for the audience to be engaged with this story. Whenever you're dealing with spiritual or supernatural elements in your film, most of the time it's a good idea to give your audience some definable powers or rules so that they can follow along and understand your magic and have a reference for what specific dangers, in this instance, the pool entity is capable of causing. It's not always necessary to do this. Some horror movies use ambiguity extremely well to build tension and unpredictability, but like I said, in this case, it came across more as just bad writing. Lastly, I'll also throw in here that the editing is really goofy at certain points, especially towards the end, just with like the mixing in of flashbacks and visions and real life events. It just feels silly most of the time and not compelling. Now, we are going to get into the short spoiler section of the review. If you plan on watching the movie, it really doesn't matter, but if you don't want to ruin the mystery of the magic pool or the ending of the film, then feel free to skip to this part. Pretty much, I'm just going to be giving a brief plot synopsis, and then I'll talk about some of the most ridiculous and laughable scenes and moments from the film. So just a heads up, this is going to be very unorganized, and I normally do not do this for most of my movie reviews, but Night Swim was so bad that I feel like I just had to cover some of its silliest moments. So basically, the way this story works is that the pool is filled from some kind of natural underground spring, and that water is magical, which gives people a wish that they have, but at the cost of taking a life. The dad of the family used to be a baseball player, but he has some sort of illness that ended his career early, and when he falls in the pool, it shows him a vision of his like former baseball glory days or whatever, and it begins to heal him. So he just spends all of his time in the pool and starts to act like Mr. Incredible after he started to be a superhero again. And what I mean by that is he starts like neglecting his family to chase his dream of making a return to baseball. There is this one scene where the family is having a pool party and he is playing chicken with the son of his son's baseball coach, and he almost drowns the kid because the pool starts like possessing him and black water comes out of the drain and goes into his mouth. It looks just as goofy as it sounds. Oh, he also calls this bald buff guy he's playing chicken against Steroid Shrek for some reason. Like, he unironically calls this dude Steroid Shrek. That was an actual line somebody in Hollywood got paid to write. Just amazing writing right there. There is this other scene where the family is trying to leave the house after the pool tried to make the dad drown the coach's son. And that's the scene where the mom says, "I think there's something wrong with the pool." And the dad just says, "What? This pool is the best thing to ever happen to our family." Like, it's so corny and campy dialogue. Like, these dudes are talking about a pool. The whole movie is just full of people overhyping this pool. Like, no family in America talks this much about their pool or uses their pool this much. I know the movie is just like focusing on the moments in their life where the pool is utilized and involved, but it just makes the family look like their minds are just constantly on the pool in their backyard. It's just so goofy. Like, every single waking thought and like sentence has to involve the pool for some reason. Like, it's just so dumb. They literally bring everything back to the pool. It's just so goofy. The ending is super dumb too. The pool traps the kid under the water and he becomes infected by the pool and it starts killing him, so the dad sacrifices himself, and the movie plays this like heroic, intense music like Iron Man is about to sacrifice himself to save the universe, but the action on screen is just a white guy walking into a pool and then swimming towards a black cloud in the water. It's so hilarious, and the film ends shortly after that with the family all like hugging each other and saying that they're not going to sell the house because that's not what dad would want as they watch the pool get filled up. It's like all way too much cringe, bro. The ending was probably the worst part about this movie, and there's so much more that I could get into here, like many more cringe scenes, but this review is getting too long, so I'm gonna end it here. So, in conclusion, Night Swim is a very bad horror movie based around a dumb premise that does nothing unique or clever, has poor writing, is extremely boring for most of the runtime, and is not scary. I give it a toast rating. Burnt toast. Burnt toast, bro, like extremely burnt toast. It is definitely not worth watching if you are looking for even a decent flick, but if you want to watch and laugh at a bad horror movie with your friends, you might get a kick out of some scenes, although a majority of this film, if I'm being honest, is a snooze fest. I've been Ghost Toast, your Ghost Toast, and I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, then make sure to leave a like as it really helps out in the algorithm, and subscribe and turn on that bell to stay notified on whenever I drop a new video. Anyways, stay away from haunted pools, and I'll see you all on the next one. Have a great day.